Hello and welcome to the Fishing Guide Podcast. We are back with Larry at Southtown Sporting Goods because we didn't have enough time. We talked about the thermocline last time. Now we get to come back and we have to talk about lures because I wanted to talk about lures. We never made it to it because you've been in the fishing industry. You've had Southtown Sporting Goods for
33 years.
33 years. You've seen the change. You know, I come in, we always talk about
Right.
changes, what's
Right.
hot, what's not. ICAST,
Sure.
you know, is always around the corner,
Right.
it seems like. And so we're going to talk about lures, and we'll just start out with when you started your store. How many fishing lures? Like how many aisles did you have? Did you build onto your store?
We built on, but we built on with non-fishing. Our fishing section has been about this. I don't know. It's probably what 3,000 or 4,000 square feet of fishing. It's a lot.
I would say.
Yeah.
Is that what you started with?
No,
When
we
you-
started with everything. We had work
all right.
clothes, which is complete
Uh-huh.
outdoor hunting.
But
Don't
when
do
you
guns.
when
we
you
do a lot
sta-
of archery.
Yeah, when you started this store, was the fishing department this way? This big?
Yes, pretty
Oh,
much
it
like it
was?
is. Oh, yes. We'd been in fishing. We were my brother had the Joplin store. They were big in the bass fishing
Uh-huh.
business through the 70s and back when it was really in its heyday. So, yeah, we grew up with it.
Wow. And so you have everything from hard baits to soft baits to terminal tackle, and then you got all the tools. We're actually sitting in the there's tackle boxes behind us.
Right.
And so soft and hard.
Right.
That was
Oh.
probably interesting when they started bringing out soft tackle
well,
boxes because you probably had the old green metal ones,
sure,
right?
Sure, metal ones when they started, sure. And but the soft plastics, that's been the big transition in this industry. It's been huge over the years. I can remember when the first plastic worms came out. They looked like a night crawler.
Right.
And the cream was one of the
Yep.
early ones. In fact, I think PICO. I think that they're kind of tied together with
Yeah,
that original
PICO
company.
and Mitch is the national
Right,
sales
sales
manager for cream.
They
and-
were among the earliest, and it just grew by leaps and bounds. And the innovation was it's still scary. You can't keep up. We try to pick what 10,000 are the best.
Right.
And probably 3 of them are the best,
Right.
But anyway, the fisherman needs lots of choices. But anyway, that's and of course we've got this whole new thing coming on now. The
Forward facing
yes, the
sonar. Yeah.
Oh, sure, that's changed it. I noticed you had some of the.
Yeah, I brought
these
some.
are- yeah.
I brought some jig heads over. These are the PICO scope eye jig heads,
right.
and they're basically designed. They were designed.
They were designed for the live scope.
Yep.
That eye creates a big.
That's right.
Big picture for them, and the guy that's fishing for the crappie, and that's really, I mean, they use it for bass and everything else, but
Yeah,
crappie, it's a big deal. And,
it's a huge deal.
Yeah, and that eye, and believe it or not, you probably got 1/4 ounce heads.
Yeah.
You probably, if you looked on the rack, we're probably sold out of 16th and 8th.
You are, Mitch. You need to get some down
He
here.
was down here just a couple of weeks. He's a regular. We're midsummer and we're running out of them. But it's this eye is it's a big deal. It attracts. You can put whatever you want for plastic on the tail of it or a minnow.
Right.
They fish a live minnow on them.
Oh
But,
yeah.
you can see that. You can see that head, and the live scope is just it's revolutionized.
It's changed what you had in here, but you probably had living rubber jigs,
Sure.
like back in the day. And then remember the mop jig head
Right.
come out, and it was bringing the old,
Right.
the old
Absolutely
rubber back that
Right.
they had.
And no, it's the transition in the years, and that was after another career. I'm in my mid 80s now, so I had 20 years with Fish and Wildlife, 20 plus, and this has been a fascinating journey for me the last 30 years, just watching this transition. But I grew up. I started in '57 before I went off to college in the old Joplin store. And it was pretty much bait. And, the bass thing hadn't hit. It hit in the early 60s. So Ray Scott.
Right.
First tournament was out here on Beaver Lake.
That's 1967.
Yes. Yeah. And it was it started it, and it was catfish and crappie and bass with minnows, before. And but the explosion of baits has just been phenomenal. And now, I don't know, somebody come back from the 70s and look at what we've got in inventory wouldn't know what to think, I'm sure. I mean, we had simple baits, but now, my goodness, these patterns. Well, earlier we looked at some plastics that were I mean, they're pretty fishy looking, really.
Yeah, they're really, whether they catch the fish or the fishermen.
Fishermen is the question.
But you have like some jerk baits behind the counter and jerk baits that you were here when they started probably drilling holes in them. They were all floating.
Oh yes.
And they drilled holes in them.
They used to wrap lead in the 80s and 90s. They wrapped. We bought lead wire. You still buy lead strips, but then we kept a lot of lead wire, and you would actually take an old Rogue,
right,
Smithwick Rogue, and wrap weight till you got it to suspend, and that was how they fished. It was a wintertime bait then,
right?
But they've adapted it to fishing. They use them all year a little now. Even use it for trout.
Yeah, trout. Well, for brown trout.
For brown trout, you bet.
Brown trout.
So but they some of them are just some of these $20, $30, $40 baits are just phenomenal. They're pricey. You don't want to hang them up and lose them. But
what's the most expensive bait that you have in this store? Do you know?
Right now, we're out of some of the glide baits that are in the 50. I think
some glide baits.
We sell them out pretty much when we can get them. They're still in demand, but great big monster looking
glide
baits that just swim along slow, and the fish like them. But anyway, it's but the bulk of a lot of our business here is stream fishing. A lot of small. You might just grab a little zoom off the. Some of it's just little packs.
Well, here's a little TRD.
Yeah. Those are big deals on streams.
Yeah.
And put a little lead head on them and bounce them on the bottom, and
you can put these little lead heads on them too,
sure.
and that work perfect because it'll hold on to that.
They make a special head for it, but it'll stick on those heads, and anything you want, bounce them on the bottom. So that there's all kinds of just the options are just they're scary.
And you did a lot of studies, right, on the fisheries out here on Beaver Lake.
We studied it for years.
Studied it, and so when you went to get certain fishing products, you had some insight to what they would buy. Does that make a difference on color patterns that you purchase?
I don't know. I don't. I'm a kind of believer that maybe we do too many colors.
Yeah.
I like something that's a natural color.
Now you're not supposed to say that. You own a store,
well,
so.
I know, but I still, deep down inside, the fisherman's still going to buy what he likes.
Right.
But it's the options are just unlimited, and different colors of waters, no doubt about that. Muddy water, brighter colors, clear water, you tend to more mimic a fish. And you can look on the wall and just pick off baits, and the person makes the choice. Does this look most like a shad? Right now, you want to get something that kind of looks like a shad for a lot of the crankbait type baits, and then the others, something that mimics a crawfish. But my goodness, because of water clarity varies, how they react. Does orange do better? Does green pumpkin do better? Shades of purple and orange are popular always, and I've never really understood that. But for whatever reason, the way the colors transition in water, these robo worms. You look at one of them, and you say, "My goodness, why would anybody buy that?"
Yeah.
But they
Purple,
love it.
brown, green.
Purple, green, And so but what I think doesn't. I think they hit something because they like it, but it goes by them. I think most of the bass are probably pretty much reaction. If a bite goes by, you don't know where it's coming from. They're going to grab at it, but something that looks natural in the water, and that could be so many different. There's a season in the spring when they're chasing nesting bass, trying to get one off a nest. Do you want something bright that you can see?
Right.
And so we sell methylate and
Right.
pink and chartreuse, and bright colors. But it's just white's always a good color. But that's it's not a natural color in the lake, but it works. So
maybe it's the belly.
Could
the
be.
Belly
Well,
of
the
something.
belly and all. That's probably an evolutionary thing. You look up,
Right.
People look at topwater baits. You can have all kinds of finishes, but to me, if almost all of them are going to have a white belly or a black belly.
Right.
White, light in the daytime, and at night, a lot of times a dark bait, and we sell all colors.
Right.
But if you look at the underside of one, if you can't find the color you want, look for one with a white belly.
There you go.
Forget the back, and fishermen do, but you keep the selection for the fishermen. I don't know if it's as much for the fishes.
How about let's just talk about white bass, because I know you know a lot about white bass, and you studied white bass, and so best colors and best lures for white bass.
Well, that varies a lot. Little spoons are always good. Little crankbaits. White bass, a lot of the time in the summer, it's kind of a spontaneous event. They're moving around feeding, and I know a lot of fishermen will be out fishing, and all at once they kind of erupt, and you got a few minutes. Well, a lot of times what you got on your pole is what you're going to throw.
Right.
And if you've got a fairly small, there's a whole wide range of baits. Sometimes they'll be deeper. On Grand Lake, they throw a lot of little grubs, little plastic grubs all summer. Bounce them on points and things and catch tons of them. But over here on Beaver, it seemed like a lot of our activity is, in the summer especially, is schooling, centers around schooling. But they spoon them, little spoons, various types of soft plastics and little spinner baits, something that looks like a little fish in the water. And once again, you just kind of pick what you like, and that's what you throw. But that's in the springtime. It's a lot of soft plastic, small ones,
Right.
little fishies. There's a whole variety of baits that a whole bunch of them. We keep them all, and we can talk about it when people come in. But a lot of that is in the spring. I think it's presentation. They spend. A fish that's coming up river to spawn, which white bass would be doing in the spring, not going to fight a current all day, so it's going to stay near the bottom. So you want to select your bait type, something that's can be seen with a lot of chartreuse. We saw a lot of chartreuse and white in the spring.
Yeah.
And something that you can put on the bottom.
Where do the white bass go in the summer? Because sometimes there'll be like a ton of them up by Rocky Branch, and all of a sudden they'll be by Hickory Creek.
They're pretty mobile.
Yeah.
I'll say that, and they tend to aggregate or school in the daytime, and so that's why I say in the summertime, sometimes your best bet is to be milling around in the afternoon and see them come up and feed on shad. Right. They're basically hunting food, and so I don't know. I've had times when you'd find them just kind of laying off a point, but most often you find them sort of free swimming, and a lot of times it's a schooling type bite.
Do white bass, do they seem to school in the same size? So if you're in a 3-pound group, there's a lot of 3 or
well,
1 pound?
I don't know. I couldn't answer that. I think you see some. You tend to see that. I'll say you from the fisherman's standpoint. When you get a school of big ones, they're usually a bunch of big ones.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything magic. I've seen in the daytime years ago when we were just killing time in the afternoon. We had scuba gear. We'd sometimes go set off a point and look at schools of white bass or black bass that were they'd be all sizes in there.
Oh.
So I don't know if there's any magic.
Is there a temperature they prefer, the white bass? Do they like staying above the thermocline or right?
I think mostly they stay in the warmer part of they seem to do quite well in the what we call the upper lemony or the upper 20 feet. So you don't usually find them real deep. You can, but it's rare. Usually they're now stripers or cold water cool water fish. They're going summertime. They're going to get down there 50 feet or so.
They're gone to the dam.
Yeah, they're headed for where they get some oxygen, cool water. They get squeezed out up lake. So.
All right. Well, there you go. We're going to go to Tackle Time. Tackle Time sponsored by PICO Lures. We talked about the jig heads. They got a whole series of scope eye jig heads, and they got different colors and different color patterns. The big eye, that's a big part of it.
I think that was his secret.
So,
we've talked about it.
Yeah.
And that really lights up that live scope.
So if you want to see them in it, plus because the wire keeper, it keeps it on there and you can use one bait longer. Larry doesn't want to hear that because he's trying to sell baits, but it does keep them on there longer.
Well, they're expensive when you break them, though. That's the consolation from my point.
That's right.
It costs more to make them, so.
That's right. Larry, and if you want to find out more about PICO Lures, you can go to picolures.com. Larry, if they want to come into the store and do some shopping, where can they find you?
We're at 4602 North College in Fayetteville. It's on Business 71, just north of the Northwest Arkansas Mall.
Okay.
And
there you go.
We're right on the highway. It'll be a big Southtown sign, so they can find us.
There you go. There you have it. Like I always like to end the show, make sure you keep your hook sharp and your lures in the water.